We're going to start with the very simplest of inversions, which is the downward facing dog. So for this one, you can just come to an all fours position. You can turn out your toes and then just lift the knees from the floor, press the stomach into the legs, and then extend the legs straight. Now this is a resting pose in yoga. So this you're expected to just let go and relax in this position, and you may not realize that you're inverted, but you actually are. And there is a little bit of relief in the pelvis in this position. So depending on which type of prolapse you have, you may feel more or less release in this position. And this is kind of accessible to most people. So that's the most simple version of an inversion. After that, the next pose is the shoulder stand. You can use a bolster behind the head if you can't reach the floor with your feet when you try to come into this position. And if when you come over, if you don't find the floor with your feet, then you can just come so that your hands are still out and just let your legs hang out. But if you do reach the floor, then you can walk the elbows closer to each other, bring the hands onto the back. You want to activate your bandhas, so pull up on the pelvic floor, pull in on the low belly. This stops air from being drawn in when you come up, and then you can come into the full pose. Now in this position, you are inverted. I shouldn't be looking at the camera. The weight is in the shoulders, so it's not in the neck, and the pelvic organs are completely inverted. So this can be quite relieving. So we're just going to come down out of this one, roll down slowly. The next inversion that I'm going to show you is the tripod headstand. When you do a tripod, you're going to make a triangle that is an equilateral triangle. So if you imagine that the elbows stay in line with the shoulders and that the hands, when you place them down, are shoulder distance apart, and then the top of your head, so not the forehead, not the back of the head, but the top of your head is going to rest in a position that is as far away from the hands as your hands are away from each other. In this case, I would place the hands under the shoulders. I would rest the head on the floor, not the forehead, because that will hurt the neck, and it's not the back of the head, because that will also hurt the neck. It is the top of the head that rests on the floor. You lock the shoulders in. So imagine, draw the elbows close to each other. You can see that I have a 90-degree angle here in the arms, and I'm engaging through the mid hand and gripping gently with the fingers. Just stand on your feet. You shouldn't feel a whole lot of weight here in the neck. You're just going to put one knee on the back of one elbow and one knee on the back of the other elbow. And if you feel comfortable here, you can bring both knees and you can just rest in this position. So this is an inversion that can feel very nice if you are suffering from a pelvic organ prolapse. Now, of course, if you have a good, well-established yoga practice and you're used to inverting and you want to try to take this to the next level, you can go from a straddle position, come up into a full headstand, or you can do a straight leg lift for this. The tripod is easier than the version that we're going to do now. We're going to start from an all fours position. Now you're going to place your elbows on the floor. Now just reach around your elbows. This ensures that I'm shoulder distance apart. And then keep the elbows exactly where they are. Release the hands and interlock them, but leave them open so you have a little space for your head to rest on. Now, don't collapse here in the shoulders. You have to press through the shoulders to engage the shoulder girdle. And you're using the whole backside of your arm all the way down through the baby fingers and this engagement through the triceps and across the shoulder girdle to make sure that you have good activation and good control. And from here, we're going to just let the hips be a little bit soft. We're going to keep that activation in the shoulders, and we're going to do a couple of little press ups. So coming forward and backward, this just makes sure that you are actively engaging and prepares the shoulders to have the strength to be able to do the inversion. So coming forward and backwards. Coming back up, make sure you grab the elbows, interlock the hands. Don't open the shoulders wider here. So once you grab the elbows, keep them locked in where they are there. Then you know they're in the right place. Press through the shoulder girdle to get that nice activation. You're going to place the top of your head, not the forehead, not the back of your head, but the top of your head. Now there's actually very little weight in the head when you do this. You could slip a $10 note under your head or a piece of paper. So place the head on the floor. We're going to walk the legs in as close as we can. Now, we're going to take the right knee to the right nipple and then bring the foot down, left knee to the nipple. So the leg isn't up, it's very weighty if you put it up. You want to take it really close. Try to touch the nipple. So just feel if you can get the balance here, touching the nipple. And if you get the balance, create the little ball of balance. So where you're just hanging out and keep pressing through the arms, nice activation. Lower the legs, lower the knees, lower the head. You can take the arms back and just take a little moment. So if that felt okay, we're going to try to go for the next level. And this is where we find that magical pivot point where the feet just lift from the floor. So never kick the legs up, never try to get momentum to bring the legs up. The legs will lift up naturally once you have the right length in the hamstrings and the right strength in the core. So reach around the arms, interlock the fingers. We're going to rest the head on the floor, activate the shoulders, press into the feet and walk the feet forward until they lift. Now here you see I have found the pivot point. My feet are lifting without any effort. So you can try coming halfway up, and if you feel okay at the halfway point, you can try to take the legs all the way up and just feel that you are engaging all the way through to the toes. So nice strong activation, and breathe. And just here we would normally breathe for 20 or 25 breaths. You want to keep a nice activation of the pelvic floor and the low belly, so your bandhas should be engaged here. And then you can come for the half balance, where you bring the hips back and the legs forward, find that nice half balance. You can try to come back up. And this really challenges your body. And as well as giving a little relief to the prolapse, it also helps to strengthen the tissues from another direction. So let's just bring the legs back down, same way we came up. Drop the knees and come into a little child's pose. Okay, of course, you might be looking at this and thinking, oh God, I could never do that. But you can. So this device is called the feet up. Now with the feet up, rather than resting the weight on your head, so let's say if you have neck issues and you know headstand's never going to be for me, this actually takes the weight in the shoulders, which means that the neck is free and loose and gets to just hang out. So then you can just really focus on using your core and getting yourself up. So for this, we're going to try not to ruin the mic. And this is designed, so you see here, we can take one leg at a time and we can find our little ball of balance here. So like we did on the other side. And if you feel comfortable here, you can come up a little higher, and it's much, much, much easier to balance yourself. So you don't have to have any great strength to be able to do this. And you can play around a little with your, say, your splits or any kind of pose at all here. So it gives you a huge amount of freedom. So when you have a prolapse and you want to be able to kind of find the angle that really feels right for you, then the feet up can really help with that. So, and that's a really useful tool if you are new to the yoga practice and if you have a pelvic organ prolapse and you really want to take it upside down and feel something different. So you can just take it against the wall if you're really unsure, and you can just take yourself up this way so you have the wall as well for support. Then you can even let the arms go if you want to. So hope you enjoyed this little practice, and I hope you find some relief from your prolapse.